They say you always remember the moment everything changes. But what if you could rewrite it? When Kai lost Yuna in a split second, time didn't grieve with him. It offered him a choice. A broken smartwatch. A countdown. 7 chances to undo fate. But saving someone isn't as simple as avoiding an accident. As each loop resets, reality distorts. Secrets unravel. And the line between salvation and obsession begins to blur. Because Kai isn't the only one who remembers. And time has a cost. This is a story of love, loss, and the desperate fight against fate, where every second counts, and every choice fractures the timeline. Would you risk everything for one last chance? Like what you heard? Tap that like, share, and subscribe to Zetro FM for more stories that hit hard and stay with you. Let's start. They say you always remember the day your life changes forever, the way the world keeps moving, even when yours stops. Yuna was walking beside me, arms full of books, talking about a manga she had just finished. Her eyes lighting up like the story lived inside her. I wasn't listening closely. I wish I had. I had glanced down at my phone. One notification. Just 1 second. That was all it took. I looked up. She was gone. I turned and saw her already halfway across the street, her expression confused, like she had forgotten something. That's when I saw the truck. I remember shouting her name. I remember the world moving too fast and too slow all at once. I ran, but I was too late. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just looked at me, like she was apologizing. And then she was still. People rushed in. Cars stopped. Voices blurred, but I only saw her. They told me it was an accident, that there was nothing I could have done. But I know the truth. I could have stopped her. If I hadn't looked away, if I had reached for her hand, if I had paid attention. I've replayed that moment more times than I can count. And every time, I make a different choice. Every time, I save her. But reality doesn't work that way. Not unless you break it. And that's what I did. I came back from the future to save her. And this time, I won't fail. It had been exactly 1 year since that dreadful day. Yuna's absence had filled my world with deafening silence. They always said time heals all wounds. But they were sorely mistaken. Time only buried the pain deeper, making it a quiet hum beneath the surface. Every year, I returned to that exact spot where tragedy struck, the corner where familiarity became sorrow, where the past lingered in the air. This time, her watch lay heavy in my palm, a small memento of a moment frozen in time. It had been motionless since that day, just like her heartbeat. Then came the impossible, a flicker on the dead screen. For a heartbeat? Disbelief paralyzed me as reality crumbled like fragile glass. A message appeared. "You have 7 minutes. Make your choice." Those words thundered in my ears, blurring the line between dream and reality. Everything stood still, as if the universe held its breath. The chaos around hushed into a cryptic, unnerving silence. A second message glowed insistently. "Would you go back to save her?" My heart thundered, and my resolve tightened with desperation. The message urged, "You have 7 tries. Each time, you'll go back 1 week." Those words etched into my soul, a promise of fragile hope. As the world fractured and began to rewind, I felt the pull of destiny. Memories twisted backward, pulling me with them through time. In that haze of colors and memories, my resolve crystallized into a singular thought. If I could see her again, I would change everything. As reality snapped back to 1 week before she left us, I stood at the realm of second chances. The haunting echo of 7 tries urged me onward. I woke up choking on my own breath, my heart racing. My room was exactly as I'd left it a year ago, unchanged, yet eerily different. The watch on my wrist buzzed once, not broken, not dead. Its soft glow revealed 6 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes remaining. I checked the date on my phone, 1 week before Yuna died, and that's when I knew. I was really back. I ran out the door like a man possessed. When I saw her again, outside the school gates, the world seemed to freeze. I followed her home that day, pretending everything was normal, until I couldn't pretend anymore. "Don't go," I said suddenly, stopping her outside her front door. She blinked at me, puzzled by my seriousness. "You'll get hurt," I warned, my voice cracking with desperation. She frowned, skepticism in her gaze. I tried everything to stop her, offering solutions, but nothing worked. Yuna, ever kind, just laughed it off. The morning of the trip arrived with a sense of dread. She smiled at me, unaware of the weight in my words. This time it wasn't a truck. A stage collapsed at the school. A beam fell, calling it an accident. Try failed. My watch buzzed again. No matter what, fate wanted Yuna gone. The second time around, I thought I knew what to expect. Same week, same faces, same ticking clock on my wrist. counting down the minutes to Yuna's death, but something was different. It wasn't just me. People started acting off. Hana, Yuna's childhood friend, usually cheerful, barely looked at me in the hallway. Our class president, Riku, who used to ignore me, now nodded when we passed, like we shared some inside joke. And then there was that boy. I didn't recognize him at first, sitting alone by the vending machine. But when our eyes met, he stared a little too long, like he knew me, like he remembered something I didn't. The first time I thought I could fix things by pulling Yuna away from danger, but now I was seeing something else. The cracks spreading outward, tiny things I never noticed the first time. Mr. Seiso didn't trip over his shoelaces during morning homeroom like he always did. A power outage that used to happen during third period didn't. Yuna's brother, who never spoke to me before, asked if I was feeling okay. "You look like you haven't slept in weeks," he said. That's because I hadn't, not really. I was playing God with time, and the more I changed, the less I recognized the world I thought I knew. Yuna noticed too. One afternoon, as we walked home, she looked at me and said, "You've been weird lately." I tried to laugh it off. "Weird how?" She squinted. "You're too careful. You keep glancing at the sky, the street, your phone, like you're waiting for something bad to happen." I froze, because I was. She stopped walking and turned to face me. "Kai, is something wrong?" I wanted to say it. I wanted to scream the truth, that I'd watched her die, that I was running out of chances, that I was failing her, again and again, but how do you explain something like that to someone who doesn't remember? So I just said, "I had a bad dream." She smiled, soft and sad, like she didn't believe me, but didn't want to press. "You're always having bad dreams," she said. Then she reached up and flicked my forehead, just like she used to. "I'll be fine, Kai. Stop carrying the whole world on your back." But the truth was, I wasn't carrying the world, just hers, and it was already starting to slip through my fingers. I told myself I wouldn't do it, that if I just stayed close, made the right moves, I could change everything. But that didn't work. She still died. A different accident, a different place, but the same ending. So on the second try, I broke my own rule. I told her the truth. It happened on a cloudy Thursday, 5 days before the accident. We were sitting by the old basketball court, skipping class for the first time in our lives. She was watching the clouds roll by, talking about how they looked like animals, while I was watching the countdown on my watch, the hours slipping through my fingers. I couldn't take it anymore. "Yuna," I said, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to believe me, even if it sounds impossible." She raised an eyebrow, sensing my seriousness, and then I told her everything, that I'd seen her die. Twice. I told her that I was trapped in a loop, sent back a week each time she was taken, that I didn't know why, only that I had limited chances to save her. She didn't laugh. She just stared at me, her expression unreadable, silent for too long. Finally she asked, "Kai, are you okay?" A question more loaded than it seemed. I pleaded, "I know how it sounds, but I'm not making this up. I've been through this week before, twice, and each time, you died." She asked if she was cursed or being targeted, but it was all a mystery to me. The only thing I knew was that I kept losing her. Yuna looked away, disappointment cloaking her words. "You've been acting strange lately. I thought it was stress or grief," she said. I insisted, "I'm telling the truth." But she whispered that she couldn't believe me, because then it'd mean she's already dead. The silence between us felt heavier than any scream could. She stood up, backed away, a stranger in front of me. She urged me to seek help, someone real, a counselor, or my parents. Because whatever I was facing, she couldn't handle it, and then she left. No matter how hard I tried to follow, fate didn't wait. She never made it home. A gas leak, a freak explosion. No one saw it coming, except me. But still, I was too late. The number on my watch reset, and reality sunk deeper. Try failed, with 5 attempts remaining, and I realized the worst, that telling her the truth didn't bind us, only split us apart. When I opened my eyes, I knew something was wrong. It wasn't the light or the room. It was the silence, the absence of the usual morning sounds. Birds, alarms, voices outside, was unsettling. I sat up, utterly disoriented. I looked at the watch. The countdown wasn't right. Instead of 7 days, it counted down from 3. My fingers trembled as I tapped the screen, which glitched, flickering times and strange symbols. I had failed twice, but this wasn't part of the deal. Time was breaking, or maybe I was. I stumbled outside, where the world looked the same but felt warped. At school, The halls were quiet, too quiet, with whispers behind invisible walls. Yuna waved, her bright smile shadowed by something indescribable. I tried to act normal, letting my body move on autopilot while my head swam. Every moment felt simultaneously too fast and too slow. By noon, the pressure had become unbearable, prompting me to seek solitude in the science lab. I fixated on the watch, eyes blurring with tears of frustration. This wasn't supposed to happen, I whispered to no one. Maybe I was never meant to succeed. If I only had 3 days, what could I even do? Would it be enough to change her fate, or was hope the real trap? This time, I tried something different. If I couldn't save Yuna directly, maybe changing someone else's fate would alter hers. No one remembered Keita the way they did Yuna, which made him my test. Saving him could bend the timeline. He had no idea death awaited him in a few days. On the stage that would collapse, I devised a plan, using a fake class notice. That day, Keita was safe, but the stage still collapsed with worse consequences. Instead of relief, dread engulfed me. Yuna wasn't even near the stage when she died, rushing toward the chaos out of instinct. This was a curse that multiplied. Try failed. 4 remaining. I realized that saving one meant dooming others. A horrible realization struck me. It started with a feeling. That crawling sense of being watched. Sharper, deliberate, like someone studied me from just outside the edges of time. I first noticed him behind the gym. A boy, sitting on the steps, face half hidden under a hoodie, unfamiliar yet familiar somehow. He didn't look away when our eyes met. He just nodded like he'd been expecting me. His presence was unnervingly familiar. The next day, he was at the vending machine before I got there. The day after, he was in the back row of the library, pretending to read a book with blank pages. He didn't speak until the 3rd time, stepping out from behind a streetlight, as if part of the shadow itself. 4 tries left, he said. Just like that, I froze. What did you say? His voice was flat, but certain. You've used 3. You've got 4 left, that is. If the watch doesn't break again. My mouth went dry. Who are you? He shrugged casually. Same as you. A mistake in the timeline. It hit me then. This wasn't just some creepy kid. He knew about the loops, about Yuna, about me. You're a traveler, I said slowly. He laughed dryly, shaking his head. No, I'm a prisoner. Same as you. I stepped closer. Why are you following me? Because I needed to know if you were dangerous, like the others. What others? He didn't answer. He just looked past me, eyes dark. Listen carefully, he said. You're not the only one trying to rewrite this week. There are more of us. I stared, realizing the implications. There were, he said, echoing with a sense of finality. Most are gone now, burned through their tries, lost, or gave up. What about you? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I stopped at trying to win. Now I just watch. I didn't know what to say. Every nerve screamed to run, yet every instinct screamed to listen. He leaned in slightly, voice lower. There's something you haven't realized yet, something the watch won't tell you. What is it? His eyes sharpened. Only one traveler gets to finish the loop. Only one timeline survives. The rest collapse. He snapped his fingers. I stepped back. So it's a game. It's worse, he replied. It's a test. And it's rigged. I looked at my watch, feeling my heart pound. 3 tries already gone, 4 left. The numbers felt heavier than ever. He turned to leave, then paused. Tell me something, Kai, he said over his shoulder. If saving Yuna means someone else has to die, how many are you willing to lose? He vanished down the hill before I could answer, but the question stayed, and I hated that I didn't have an answer. Not yet. I didn't want to be alone anymore. The loops were tearing me apart. Memories overlapping, days bleeding into each other, reality growing thinner with every reset. So when I met Ren, I thought maybe, just maybe, I had found an ally. He was quiet, like me, observant, transfer student, only recently arrived. But he always seemed to know what was happening before it happened. One time he grabbed me before I stepped into a hallway flooded with water. Another time, he looked up from his notebook and muttered, "Don't take the left stairs today." An hour later, the railing snapped clean off. I thought it was coincidence. Then I realized, no, he was like me, so I told him the truth. I told him about the loops, about the watch, about Yuna. And he didn't flinch. He just said, "So I'm not the only one after all." We began working together, planning, tracking the timeline, isolating danger points. He even suggested we follow Yuna everywhere for a day, keep her completely off the original path, and for a moment, I felt hope again. The kind of hope that sneaks in when you think the nightmare might finally end, but hope is a knife in the wrong hands. It happened the next morning. I woke up to silence. My watch blinked red, timeline altered. Critical event. Triggered early. I ran to the school, breath ragged. Too late. Yuna was already gone. She hadn't even made it past first period. Someone had pulled the fire alarm. She was separated during the evacuation. They found her unconscious at the bottom of the old stairwell. No one saw who was with her, but I knew. I found Ren that night, waiting for me by the train tracks. He didn't apologize. "You were too close," he said. "Too desperate. You kept pulling the timeline tighter. I had to let it breathe." "You killed her," I said, my voice shaking. He tilted his head. "No, I just gave time a little push." I lunged at him. He didn't fight back. He just whispered, "Now you know. You can't trust anyone. Not even the ones like us." I woke up screaming. Cold sweat, gasping for air. Watch glowing dimly. Try failed. 3 remaining. Yuna had died even earlier this time. I had trusted someone. I let my guard down, and I paid for it with her life. By the 6th loop, I stopped pretending I could outsmart fate. Every plan failed. Every timeline bent around my choices like a rubber band pulled tighter and tighter, so I made a decision. This time, I wouldn't try to protect Yuna. I'd replace her. If the universe wanted someone to die, it could have me. I tracked the moment, the exact time, the exact place. I memorized every detail, and on the day of the event, I beat her to it. I skipped class and snuck into the gym, waited under that same cursed beam, seconds ticking by. I whispered to myself, "Let this be enough." The crowd began to gather for setup. Yuna was still outside, laughing with friends, safe. This had to work. When the moment came, I shoved the scaffold just enough to trigger the collapse. I stood beneath it, closed my eyes, and waited for the end, but it didn't come. There was a crash, a scream, but not mine. I opened my eyes. Someone else was on the ground, bleeding. Still, it wasn't me, and it wasn't Yuna. It was a teacher, Mr. Nakamura, the one who had pulled me aside a few loops ago to tell me I looked exhausted, the one who offered to cover my shift for the student council booth. He was never supposed to be there, and now he was dead. I staggered backward. "No," I muttered. No, this wasn't supposed to happen." The watch buzzed violently on my wrist, its screen flickering. Text scrambled. Symbols I'd never seen before poured across the face. Then finally one message appeared. "Violation detected. Timeline unstable. Error. Substitution rejected." I had offered myself. The loop refused, and someone else paid the price. I didn't go to the funeral. I couldn't. I just sat under the cherry tree behind the school, the one Yuna liked to read under, and stared at the broken numbers on the watch. Try failed. 2 remaining. I had tried to take her place, but time didn't want a sacrifice. It wanted a lesson, and maybe it wanted me to suffer through it again and again, until I stopped trying to rewrite her ending, and finally started to understand it. The watch didn't buzz this time. It screamed with a dire urgency that filled the room. A message flashed on the darkened screen. "Final attempt," it read, and the weight of those words settled into Kai's bones. This was it. No resets remaining, and failure was no longer an option. He wasn't merely trying to save Yuna anymore. He was holding back the collapse of reality itself. 6 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes to change their fate. He dressed quickly, writing the mantra, "Find the real cause," on the back of his hand. Every step forward was a new promise to uncover the truth. This wasn't about mere accidents anymore. Yuna's demise had transformed into an elaborate targeting mechanism. He delved into patterns, weaving through the fabric of time and motive, each connection pointing to a single truth. A name whispered through the chaos. Mr. Hayashi, a substitute, always present in the shadows of those crucial moments. Confronting Hayashi was like staring into a mirror of calm menace. His smile was too wide, his amusement too forced. The revelation hit like a sledgehammer. Yuna had struck a bargain 5 years ago. To save him, she traded another's life. The weight of truth pressed heavily on his heart. Her choice was shrouded in love and silence. She carried their fate in her brave smile. In the delicate dance of fate, she made the impossible choice once more. Her final act was reset, and with a whisper of hope, everything changed. I didn't know what to expect when I woke up again. The watch was gone. The glow, the countdown, the warnings, all of it, erased like it had never been there. But the date was still the same. 1 week before she died, only this time, it was quiet. The air wasn't heavy, my chest didn't ache. It was like the timeline itself was holding its breath, and maybe waiting. Yuna called me that morning, said she had a dream about stars that wouldn't stop falling. I met her outside the school gate. She smiled like nothing had changed, like it was just another ordinary day, but I knew better, so I told her everything. One last time, no holding back, no lies. I told her about the loops, the deaths, the betrayals. I told her what Mr. Hayashi said, about the choice she made to save me all those years ago. She listened, quietly, hands folded in her lap, and when I was done, she didn't argue. She just said, "So now it's my turn again." I tried to speak, but she held up her hand. "No more saving me, Kai," she said. "No more running ahead of time, trying to catch the falling pieces. I just don't want to lose you. You never did." She looked out at the horizon. The sun was setting, the same orange hue as the day she died in the first loop. Then she stood up. "I want to live," she said. Not softly, not fearfully, with clarity, with finality. "And this time, I'm going to save myself." She canceled her part in the school trip. She reported Mr. Hayashi to the principal, with a voice so steady it silenced the room. She stayed away from every trigger point, every domino that led to disaster. Not because I pulled her away, not because I screamed, because she chose to. She saved herself, and I let her. It wasn't easy. Every part of me wanted to hover, to shield, to intervene, but I knew that was the trap. The loop wasn't about me saving her, it was about trusting her to live. The week passed, no accidents, no countdowns, just life. And on the night the final day ended, I stood outside her house, watching her laugh with her family, alive, whole, free. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if the watch will ever return, if there are more loops, more timelines, more prices to pay, but I do know this. This time, she's here, and that's enough. Years had passed, yet as I recollect, the school grounds remain a vivid tapestry in my mind. Those red bricks, awash in sunlight, echoed an era gone by. Most memories fade, becoming whispers of the world they once colored. Just another campus, another class. But sometimes, legacies linger like ghosts, bound to the earth in the hidden recesses of the basement. Secrets wait for the bold and the curious. A young boy stumbles upon lost echoes, dust clinging to forgotten relics of the past. He had no plans, just a whim to keep boredom at bay. Fate, however, had other ideas hidden within the cracks of a dusty watch. 2 words lit the darkness. A challenge, an invitation. "Save someone?" it asked, as though destiny extended a trembling hand from the abyss. Time ceased to be, cold seeping into his soul, as laughter receded to silence. Unknown names whispered through the air, a boy's tale intertwining with destiny's design. And so, stories spun through time's continuum whispered again of Kai and Yuna. The loop resumed, draped in the fabric of fate's weaving.